Tyrese and Taylor were cousins. They were inseparable. Life in Inglewood wasn't easy. They were homeless, but they had each other. They survived on scraps. They hustled for spare change. They slept under the stars. They were family. They looked out for each other. Tyrese was the brains. Taylor was the muscle. They knew how to make it on the streets. They had to. Life hadn't been kind to them, but they were survivors. Crackman showed up one day. He was bad news. He wore a dark coat and a wicked grin. He carried something worse than a gun. He had crack. But this wasn't ordinary crack. This crack had a hook. It hypnotized people, turned them evil. He started small, a few people here and there. Then more and more fell under his spell. They became his puppets. Inglewood was changing. Fear gripped the streets. Tyrese and Taylor knew something was wrong. Very wrong. Suddenly, a cloud of smoke appeared. It smelled of something amazing. Out of the smoke stepped Snoop Dogg. He was real, and he wasn't happy. He looked at Tyrese and Taylor. They were shocked. Snoop knew their names. He knew their struggles.
Crackman is poison, Snoop said, his voice deep and powerful. He's got to be stopped.
Tyrese and Taylor listened. They had to. This was Snoop Dogg.
I can give you the power, Snoop continued. He held out a joint. It glowed with an otherworldly light. This ain't just weed, Snoop Dogg said. This is special. This is power.
Tyrese and Taylor looked at each other. They were scared, but Inglewood needed them. They took the joint. They shared it like they shared everything else. The world spun. They felt a surge of energy. They were stronger, faster. Their minds were sharp. They could feel the power coursing through them.
Snoop smiled. Go get him, he said. Inglewood is counting on you.
They found Crackman in the park. He was surrounded by his victims.
Their eyes were vacant, their bodies were twisted.
Crackman laughed. He knew they were coming. He was ready.
They fought.
It was a blur of fists and feet. Superpowered punches met crack-fueled rage, but Crackman was strong. Stronger than they thought. They fought bravely, but it wasn't enough.
Crackman knocked them down. He stood over them, laughing.
Bruised and defeated, they crawled back to Snoop.
We weren't strong enough.
Taylor could only nod. They had failed. Snoop looked at them. He wasn't angry. He understood. He reached into his pocket. He pulled out another joint. This one glowed even brighter.
Try again. This time don't hold back.
They knew what they had to do. Inglewood was counting on them. They took the joint. This time, they inhaled deeply. The power was overwhelming. They felt invincible. They raced back to the park. Crackman saw them coming. He was ready. But they were ready too. This time it was different. They moved like lightning. They hit him with the force of 1,000 suns. He staggered. He couldn't believe his eyes. They were too strong. Tyrese landed a punch. Taylor followed with a kick. Crackman fell. He dropped his crack pipe. It shattered on the ground. The spell was broken. Crackman was defeated. His victims were free. The park erupted in cheers. Inglewood was safe again. Tyrese and Taylor had done it. They had saved Inglewood. They looked at each other. They had never felt so alive. The power began to fade. They were back to their old selves. But they had changed. They had faced evil. And they had won. Word spread like wildfire. Everyone knew their names. Tyrese and Taylor, the heroes of Inglewood. People treated them differently now. They were no longer invisible. They were respected. Life wasn't perfect. They were still homeless. But they had something more valuable. They had the love of their community. They had each other. They were the heroes of Inglewood, and they would never be forgotten.